Hey, welcome back to the General's Workshop. Today I'm going to actually be giving you a tour of my 3 workshop spaces, but there is a twist. Hidden throughout these areas are actually quite a few secret compartments that I've built. Well, think of it as like a treasure hunt for the DIY enthusiasts. I'm going to be revealing some, but not all. Why? Because one of my subscribers informed me that, hey, it's no longer a secret once we know. So I don't want you to know all of them, but here's what I love. As we go throughout this film, I would love for you to consider seeing with your keen elvish eye how many of my secret compartments that you can find. I'll be sharing some of them, but not all. If you can, comment down below what the total number is. Now, before we dive in, let me just say, this isn't just my workshop. This is my man cave, a place where I come to hang out in addition to just making projects. It lets my creativity flow, whether I'm strumming the guitar strings or just making projects happen or honestly, just hanging out. So if you've got a place like this, then you know exactly what I mean. I want to start with the area that actually is kind of the workhorse, if you will, the brachialis of my wood shop, and that is this area right here. Most of my videos, you'll see that I'll do it from right here. This is my favorite spot in the shop right here to work off of this Outfeed table. So the way that this is actually set up is I've got a multitude of different things that I think stand out. I'm not going to go over every detail just because I think that would be at nauseation for you guys, but I'll hit some of the things that I really appreciate about some of the shop, and I'll also give you some insight onto the things that I'm like, after I got done with them, I was like, nah, you know, that sort of a thing. So first and foremost, my creative space. This is going to be my desk area. Absolutely love this space right here. I love the fact that I set it in front of the window. In the summertime, I can look out and see the pool and just that little area that is soothing for me. And I love just my creative nature of this desk. Now, if you kind of tip to the side of it, there's a couple things that really stand out to me. One, I developed this tip-down drawer system that I love keeping all my scribe tools in. And this has been a phenomenal thing, and it just makes sure that it takes care of my tools. Besides that, I've actually got the all my rigid tools. As some of you may have been following, you've noticed that I've went from a rigid over to a Milwaukee tool. So I still have some of these rigid tools that I use quite a bit. And in fact, I'm creating 2 different sets of tools for when I have to go out to the land, which a lot of you know that I do quite frequently just to kind of work on things. So it's beyond honoring to be able to have a couple of sets of tools. Now, if you come on over here, then this is going to be the Milwaukee kind of drill and impact area where my charging station is. Not only do I have kind of a display on the top, as you can see here with all my impacts and my drills, but I've got my charging station on the second row here. And then I love this little pull-out, tip-down system with all of my bits. I think all in all, the bits look kind of a little bit messy, so I love and appreciate the idea that I can just push it up, tip it back when I'm done with it, of course with my drill bits on either of the sides of those. Now, just to the side of that, off to the left, a lot of you have seen my other video that go over my miter saw build. Love this station, and I still am loving this station for a few different reasons. One, I just pull it out and I've got 2 loaded springs in the back that push into place that now stabilize it for me. And the reason why that's important is so that when I'm utilizing this, I can now utilize the sliding mechanism function of this saw. I would also say that a couple of the other things that I'll just maybe highlight is these push pins allow for me to take this and make this miter saw removable so that I can actually bring it out and take it out to the land. That was important for me. Now, I will say this, one of the things that I've been thinking through is this idea that because I do it that way, I do not have, or I cannot necessarily set up a stop block system that's always going to reference the exact same way. So that is a sacrifice that I have to be willing to make for the sake of portability. This thing is a battery operated system, and I absolutely love that. Now you can see I'm running this little line all the way around. I'm actually doing my dust collection off of this pulse back system. This is a 1250 CFM pulse back system that I've learned to absolutely love. I do enjoy it. I will say that for me, I have to, when I use my table saw, I do have to take this hose, connect it through here, and it becomes a barrier. One of the things that I am currently contemplating is putting the original design that Travis from Shop Nation had for this outfeed table and actually putting a vacuum inside this cubby hole down here, which is what I believe it was actually designed for. And then that way it would be automatically connected to my table saw, and that would also be used for any suction that I might need here. Now, I would be downgrading my suction power, but at the same token, the gains that I would get is that one, it would always be ready. I would never have to set up the line and then take down the line when I'm done with it like I do have to do now. And then of course I'd have to get a different small vac for my miter saw. I'm not sure. I'd love to know if any of you have any advice on that. Write it down below. I'd love to know, because honestly at this point I do like this system. It runs off of the Milwaukee wrist remote system, which again allows me to press with the press of a button. I could turn off and on my vacuum, which I think is absolutely fantastic. So right next to that is one of the first projects I ever did, and this is a flip top that allows me to have two different tools in the space of one footprint of a tool, if that makes sense. So I do use this probably more than I do my thickness planer, but I love both of them. And so this is actually a belt sander, but it's also got options for me to switch that out and then utilize it as a spindle sander. And again, these are the different spindles that you can use with that. So I do find that to be really helpful. Now, pushing on over towards this way, this is going to be part of my weights. I've got some of the Bowflex dumbbells, which I think is a brilliant system. If you know what you're doing, you can get a complete body workout with simply just the bench as well as these dumbbells. Fantastic. Now, another thing that I'm working on is the Milwaukee Packout system. And again, for me, I'm trying to figure out a system at which I can make my tools portable without a significant amount of effort. And right now, or the way I've always done it when I go onto the job site, is to just pile everything in the back of my site. Now, let me clarify. When I say job site, I am not referring to a professional working capacity, because I am not a professional woodworker. I am not a general contractor or anything of that nature. I'm referring to the land. If you've seen any other videos out at the land, you'll know that I do a tremendous amount of work and support structure for the Band of Brothers. So doing a lot of building, but I'm really trying to seek a way of getting it optimized. Now, here's what I'm thinking. I've got this Packout system that I'm starting to develop. So this will have all my hand tools. This will also have capabilities for me to have work light for night, my first aid kit, etc. So if I do want to go to the land, 99% of the time, what I'm going to need is going to be inside these drawers. Now, I don't like them out in the open just like this. As you know, and as you can tell from most of my system here, I love having everything in drawers and or concealed. So there's a couple different things that I'm thinking. One, when I built these lower cabinets, I love these trays. These are trays that allow me to put stuff on them. So what I'm thinking about doing is actually taking these out and maybe applying the Packout footprint to the bottom so I can put them inside the drawers. So at the end of the day, I can go ahead and close the doors. Again, I realize that adds a layer of or a barrier to my access, but it's definitely something that I'm willing to kind of look at. Now, let's go ahead and come on over this way, if you will. We're going to take a look at this system, which I think is phenomenal. All right, so this is a ceiling to floor shelf system. And I think the things that I really appreciate about this is, one, the usability, the friendly nature of how this was built. One, you can actually see the ladder here. This is a librarian ladder, which you can see that I have a build on this one so that you guys can follow that. But this build allows me to go all the way to the top in a pretty safe manner, right? These are 2x8 foot pads that I'm able to step on. Now, some of you might be wondering, well, hey, when you carry stuff in, isn't the ladder going to be in the way? And the reality is that for me, I built this in such a way that this can actually be deployed as well as brought back out of the way. So just like that, I can move it out of the way, and then I can carry stuff in and out, not have to worry about it. The other thing is that I was really wanting to solve a problem is the idea of heavy totes towards the top. Most of the time when you have a shelf system like this, people always will just have heavier stuff on the bottom too, so that when they're climbing a ladder, they don't have to carry something heavy off. In my particular case, I wanted to be able to do both. And again, when I say heavy, I'm not referring to really, really heavy stuff, but heavy enough that you wouldn't want to do it if you're up on an unstable ladder, if that makes any sense. So for me, what I did is, in addition to having this ladder system that deploys super quickly, I've also got this platform system. Now, if you guys haven't seen the video, go ahead and check this one out. It gives a little bit more detail than what I'm going to do here. Again, right today, I'm hopefully just trying to give an overview. But what this does is this actually fits into these holes. Now, I've got it so that the ladder can translate side to side. So that shelf can be there on that side or on this side. But what it enables me to do is it enables me to take a potentially heavy box. Wow, it's hot up here. So it allows me to take this box, and now I can, without having to move my feet and make myself even more unstable, I can now climb down the ladder, and now I can go ahead and I can grab this box, I can bring it down, gain access to it in a way that's safe for me. All right, and then when I'm ready and I'm done, I just put it back up there. And then I ascend my stairway here, just like that, okay? Now, this is one of those things that I have never seen anyone do, so I'm kind of proud of the fact that it's a prototype number one, or at least for what I've discovered. And again, this ladder can be slid over, and I can do the exact same thing over here, okay? So absolutely love that. Another thing that I wanted to do is a clamp rack. So for me, I've got my clamp rack that's actually over here on the side of this large tower. And again, for me, I did that so that when I'm walking in, I don't have the aesthetics of just a clamp rack. As you guys know, this is my man cave as well as my shop. So I wanted to hide certain things, or at least keep them low visibility, if you will. So let's take a look at this clamp rack. Obviously, you can see up here, there's a multitude of different things. I don't think there's terribly anything special, if you will, or unique about this, maybe other than just how I'm storing my, my track saw. You can see my track saw, the tracks here for my track saw, this just flips up, and then it just comes up like this for my Milwaukee track, and that just flips down. So that means access for that. Otherwise, something that's really a pain and or a challenge to maintain. Now, as long as we're right here, let's go ahead and take a look at this drawer system down here. One of the things that I've really appreciated about having nice tools is that I appreciate taking care of them. And so as you can see right here, I'm going to open up this top drawer. This is actually Kazan foam. Some people call it shadow foam. There's a variety of different companies that actually make that. But this stores all my different tools, traditionally the ones that I use the most here in the shop. So this is drawer number one. And we're going to go ahead and open drawer number two. All right. And I'll be doing some reviews that kind of going over some of these tools. You might be wondering, why do I keep the fan right next to my desk? And that's because in the summer, it's really nice to have moving air coming across your face. So this is the Milwaukee M12 version. So I can take that, I set it right up here, and then I have it just kind of cooling my face and everything during that time frame. Now, the very bottom part is just going to be a deep throat bandsaw. And I've got that plus a few extra batteries. I've actually got the one other tool coming that's going to be adding into the bottom, which is why you see that bandsaw off to the side and it might look off center. Again, I'm just trying to make space for the things that are going to be coming into it. Now, another thing that I would like to point out is I've got two different outfeed tables. And I'll be honest, I originally just had this one. This space was completely open. But what I found is that I would always be working on this table with stuff on it. And of course, inevitably, then you need to use your what? Your table saw, but you can't because there's all the stuff on that. So the way that I that I function in the shop is now I'll actually break down all my stuff there. Most of my assembly, if you will, happens over here. And this is also where I have my, my track saw, the one that I actually use the most, if you will. So if I come right over here, just in this area down low, I come down here, I grab this, got my track saw, and then of course in this drawer here is where I keep my track saw. And again, this is a battery operated track saw, and it is absolutely phenomenal. The power on this thing is absolutely insane. I did have a Craig ACS system that I used prior to this, and that's corded. And the challenge for me is I don't have, well, I do now, thanks to Rodney John. I didn't have power in these center spaces, so I didn't like running a cord. So now with battery operated, I don't need to even worry about that. In fact, it's really kind of a non-issue for me. So let's go ahead, let's come on over here to the man cave, because I think this is really important. There is a couple of things that I think would be important on the man cave to notice. One, I have high ceilings. I have 12-foot ceilings, so I wanted to try to make use of the space, but instead what I did is instead of bringing stuff up to the ceiling, I brought my floor up to allow all the space underneath this here to become usable space. So as of right now, I've got approximately 16 inches of usable space. Now, I'm going to share with you some of my secret compartments that you can see. One is right underneath here. So right in this area right here, this actually comes off, and that gives me full access into this compartment that stores plywood. Okay? Now, I can store sheets of plywood underneath there. I've got another compartment on the very distal side that stores long stuff. So for instance, that track saw that was really long, maybe a long level, something of that nature, can all go back in that area. Also up in this front area of the stage, underneath here has a full pull-out system, which I think is absolutely a must-add or genius. And the thing that for me that I've really appreciated about this area is that when I look at it, because it's elevated, it creates a clear distinction of a space, if that makes sense. Meaning, rather than everything blending together, it's almost like a sunken living room. It creates this eye relief that makes you know right away, oh, that's a separate space, even though it's in the exact same space as everything else, if that makes sense. So it delineates this kind of lounge-ish area. Now, this has become one of my favorite. If the TV is being occupied inside, I can come out here and I can utilize the TV and I can watch shows or whatever you want. The other thing that I've really come to appreciate about this is this bar that I made. And again, the bar does have a video, so check that out if you would ever want to do something like that. So what I did instead is I had multiple things that was taking up space in my shop that were oddly shaped, like a ladder, my blower, right? Levels, made this storage compartment. So you can see in here, I've got my Milwaukee level, my multi-plane, my laser. I've got my blower and a battery right here. I've also got two levels that are just inside these PVC tubes that I could just take them out and then I have access to them. And it actually provides a safe place so that they don't get all beat up. And then of course on the bottom, I've got just my oddly shaped Milwaukee tower light and my ladder. And as you saw in the beginning of the video, I made this in form and fashion of an old school desk so that I have full access to a tray here. And another secret compartment is around the very end. All of my surround sound system for the television or anything like that is right there. So I do have plans. I want to share with you. One of the things I'm wanting to do is build a whole second level. That's why that electrical outlet up there is up there, because I believe this could be a sleeping style arrangement for someone if they were ever to come and visit. Now, over here, I want to shoot down around, and I've got my basketball hoop. That's really special to me just because my brother Steve and I, back on the farm when we grew up in Minnesota on a cold winter day, there would be a lot of times where we had to entertain ourselves inside the house. we'd go outside, but there's always a limit to the Minnesota cold. And if you've been there, you understand what I'm talking about. So from that perspective, we used to always play hoops with a small 1-gallon bucket and a sock. So that's kind of reminiscent of that for me. And then of course, you'll see my kit here for our airsoft and our whole band of brothers right there. I keep that inside. And then of course, an area that I can sit down and I can lounge around. Now, it goes without saying that anytime that I sit down, there's someone in my presence that feels as though that means I'm ready to now pet them. And that's you, yeah, wagging your tail. He will stare into my soul. I love you, buddy. Until I pet him. And he's cute enough that I'm just going to do it anyway, aren't you? Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and keep on moving. That's all you get, buddy. I'm sorry, I know. I want to show you a couple things over this way, so let me move the camera here. Oh, buddy. All right. So a couple things that I'm really working on is I'm tempted to put a router lift in this outfeed table right about here. And then down underneath is where I keep all of my tools for that. But another thing that I think is an absolutely excellent design is these tray-like mechanisms that allow for these containers to be removed. So for me, as I get ready to go out to the land or do anything, this is my most used one here. I can literally grab this and then I can take this with me and I've got access to all my main screws that I'll use, black phosphate / construction screws, etc. Then when I'm done, they just go right back in, they close up and I've got a bunch of them right there. Now I also have my, my Sawstop and I can shamelessly say that it's tripped at least twice. Once it was just my fault. I was trying to push through some black walnut that was too wet, too moist, or at least that's my opinion. And it tripped and it kept turning off like 5 times. And I was getting frustrated. I'm like, why does it keep shutting off? Thinking, I thought it was underpowered because I didn't get the 3 horse. This is the 1.75 or the 1.5 Sawstop. Yeah, 1.75. This is the professional, the cabinet grade, but I didn't have 220, so I did get the 110 capabilities. But I absolutely love it. If you were to ask me what's the primary tool that's changed the way that your shop is done, it's obviously going to be the table saw. The most prominent non-tool is going to be my Mr. Cool DIY system. Like right now it's heating, it's getting kind of cold here in California. I think it's all the way down to 95 degrees today. So that's why you see me in a sweatshirt. Okay, another tool that I'm just going to highlight super quick that I've just been really enjoying is this one right here. So I obviously use the Milwaukee platform, and for our airsoft, as we were wanting portable power, I can now take my batteries. I've got 4 of the M18s, but these are the XC6, and this will I can convert that or translate that into just raw power for out at the land when I need that, and that system works great. Also, it works as a charger when I'm not using it in its complete function. So now let's do this. We're going to go ahead and take a quick jaunt out to the back of the carport area. I've got 2 other areas that I want to show you. I'm not going to spend a lot of time there, but that's going to be the carport area, which is more of the metalworking. So let's head out that way now. All right. So here's the carport. This is where I do, again, a lot of my metalworking. You'll see right here, and I've got the 2 different tables. These are the titanium tables that you can get from Harbor Freight. Honestly, for me, for someone who's not doing who's not doing welding all the time, this system really works well. I've got to get some. Gotta get that sanded and get that sprayed. But I've got a full countertop that's floating, that's going to be suspending. Now, as of right now, this area is really more of a hodgepodge area at which I'm just kind of storing stuff. And obviously I don't like that, but a couple of the new features that I've gotten that I'm really enjoying is right here. So this is absolutely changing my world and how I'm kind of organizing. And as you know, whenever you move into a property, there's always a mess that you have to live with. And I've been living with it being quite a mess for some time, just because I was waiting to get a few things in place. So this is going to be a container that came off of a truck that I was able to get. Thanks to Gearhead and Thumper for helping me kind of move this and get this in place. But again, I Polytech or did a polyreal polyaspartic floor coating on it, and I'm going to be tricking this out with lights all the way down the center. This will have a lot of storage, and it'll also store a couple of things such as the four-wheeler and a few other prominent things. Now, as far as the resort, this is the area in the back here that I'm going to be utilizing as just a fun little area in the summer. I don't know why, but I love this little system where it's got the shade. It reminds me of a cabana on one of the cruise vacations that you can get, only it's got a theme for woodworking. As of right now, I have my drill press, and this is a really old, this is a Central Machinery. It's a Harbor Freight drill press that I have, as well as a scroll saw, and I've got this bandsaw as well. I'm going to be moving the bandsaw eventually into the shop. I would like to get a different bandsaw, one that has a little bit bigger of a capacity for that. And then I've got a bunch of stuff just out here around the exterior. So again, all of this stuff is just becoming used and organized. So super excited about that. And so this video is just as much for you as it is for me, because in a year from now, I'll be excited to go back to see how most of this looked. Now, there is one area that I didn't kind of share with you. One, we've got a garden shed, we've got a rec shed right here. When I moved onto this property, there was 5 different sheds, not to be overkill, but you can kind of see this area here. This is where a lot of the airsoft stuff happens. Come on, there I am. And right behind me, now I've got a video on this build, and again, this has the floating bins down below, which I think are absolutely fantastic. And then just over here, this is going to be kind of a little bit more of the crafting area when it comes to airsoft, right? So all the maintenance on the primaries that we use for the kids, I'll be doing a lot of the repair stuff. And I want to remind you guys that the wood shop for me is much more than just doing projects, but I love doing fun stuff. Like I made this Stormbreaker, right? And this thing is phenomenal, and it's life size, it's true to size. And I love doing more than just quote unquote work, but also a lot of fun. Now for me, most of the projects that I do have a strong emphasis on fun, even if it's something that I need to do, just because I enjoy doing that. Now, the other area that I didn't actually talk about is over here, and that's going to be this area right here. So this is the kind of crafting area, if you will, like scrapbooking, stamping up, things of that nature. So a variety of the family members utilize this space. As of right now, I've been able to retain Mr. Tom and the shield. This was my Halloween costume this year. So I've got that. This is a fun area. And I want to show you one thing. I want to show you this. Let me bring it down a little bit. This was my first mistake. These 2 drawer pulls are in alignment, but you can see that this top one is slanted or off-cantered. So obviously I utilized the opposite side to mark these, or I did something, but this was in the very beginning. And I thought to myself, most people would fix that right away and try to hide that. Whereas, I don't know, there's a part of me that feels like, I'm going to leave that, and I want to leave that, and I'm excited to leave that because I'm going to make many more mistakes to come. It's not about perfection. It's just about moving from one spot to another. And the other part that I want to share with you guys that honestly for me has been an awesome thing is I have absolutely hated how the garage doors look, especially this one back here. So I bought one of these canvases that they use for taking pictures. It's a very inexpensive way. I just binder clipped it to the top, and now off the side of my eye when I look at it, it almost gives this reminiscence of a accent wall, but it takes the attention away from all of the metal ribbing and all thing that runs across that. So I really think that's a great idea. You can go on Amazon. I'll link one down below in the description just so you can go there and see. There's such a wide variety available. So if you have an area that you need to kind of like de-emphasize, that's a great way to do it. And then of course on this side, I do love having my flag, Go Team America. I love it, I love it, I love it. So last but not least, I want to show you this part of the system, and I didn't show you earlier, but I want to do it now. If you look at all of my boxes, you're going to notice that there are these Tote scan, or there are these QR codes. And if you've ever wondered how to organize your stuff in such a way that you still have access to it while you're not even at your shop, or while you're not in your place of work or whatnot. There's so many different applications for it. Check out this video up top here and I'll go over that. It is an amazing video, and I promise you will not be disappointed. Shoot dang. Have a good day, you guys. I'll talk to you later.